Welcome to Arkham. I'm your host Ryan, and thank you for tuning in today. Do you guys mind if we step away from our regularly scheduled program for a minute? Because the Daily Wire just announced that they are teaming up with Angel Studios, and I really want to watch this this announcement just to see what they're doing. I'm a big supporter of the Daily Wire. I love what they're doing. Um, I know a lot of people aren't particularly fond of them, or at least a small vocal are not particularly fond, but I love what they're doing. And this Angel Studio announcement, I think, will be dope. So I want to check that out before we get into our topic. All right, let's pull this up. And it's public too, so I think I'm good. I think I won't get in trouble.
Mayflower, Michael Knowles' premium cigar brand. Today, Mayflower has already generated over $2 million in sales of over 200,000 cigars, and we're on track to have been one of the biggest first-year launches of any cigar company of all time.
I haven't had their cigars yet.
If anybody claps for Michael Knowles, I'll of course have to fire you and resign in protest. Before I left, we hadn't launched Lady Ballers, our first comedy feature. Today, Lady Ballers is the second most watched piece of content in the history of the Daily Wire Plus. Before I left, many of you hadn't even started working here. Today, you're battle-hardened culture warriors, one and all. And of course, we haven't slowed down since I got back. Already this year, Ben Shapiro toured Auschwitz with Elon Musk, released his first of two installments of the divided states of Biden.
I haven't watched, I've watched Lady Ballers, but honestly, I didn't review it.
I'm not making this up, became a Billboard #1 rapper. Already this year, we've launched our first animated sitcom, Adam Carolla's 30-year passion project, starring comedy giants like Roseanne Barr and comedy midgets like Tyler Fisher. He's very short, and I'm not a comedian. We launched our first joint venture, Responsible Man, with our longtime advertising partners Nick and Adam from Legacy Box. Responsible Man is a men's vitamin and supplement company devoted to elevating masculine virtues for every man, not just gym bros, though it's a pretty good product for gym bros too. Our Emerson vitamin is on track already to have a $1 million run rate in just its first 30 days.
I thought this is a little weird of a venture for them to get into. So
coming online as the year
men's health supplements.
With Jeremy's razors,
it didn't really, like Jeremy's razors made sense because Harry's basically canceled the Daily Wire, and it made sense for them to launch the razor company. And I thought the chocolate company, that was brilliant too. But I think like the men's health supplements, I don't get it. That's a miss in my opinion. Doesn't really make a lot of sense. The second trailer they did too for this that Harry's or their Jeremy's razor, I wasn't particularly fond of it. I don't like that they use scantily clad women to promote their stuff, which is what they did in that ad. And they made a joke about it.
Again, we released 4 pages of the Covenant Shooters Manifesto. We produced Jordan Peterson's incredible soon-to-be-released series on the Gospels. Even Andrew Klavan survived another year. And I have to say, Drew's show in this, probably the last year of his life, has been probably the best work that he's ever done. All of this, of course, has come at a cost. Daily Wire is a difficult place to work even in the best of times because we're engaged in a difficult task, to fight the left and to build the future. And these aren't the best of times. You all feel it. The social media giants have all but blunted our reach for the first time in the history of the company. Is that a surprise? They literally shut the country down in 2020 to stop Donald Trump from getting elected president. They just charged him with 34 counts of felonies that they can't name in this election. Of course, they're going to make it harder for us to do our job between now and November. And there are strong headwinds in the media and entertainment.
This is one of the things, too, that I think a lot of the detractors of the Daily Wire forget. They do significant work to challenge the culture. Significant work that I think, is underappreciated. So I don't think, people can criticize them about their allegiance to Israel, but don't let that underscore what they've done. transgenderism is a public conversation because of them, because of the work that Matt Walsh did with What is a Woman. And that would not have happened without the Daily Wire.
Any conservative media company in my lifetime, we've risked big and we've won again and again and again. And between now and the end of 2024, we have a lot more opportunities to win. We're here today so that I can tell you about one of the very biggest of those opportunities. I'm proud to announce to you today that we're partnering with Angel Studios on the release of Peachtree Productions' incredible new film, Sound of Hope, the Story of Possum Trot. Sound of Hope, the Story of Possum Trot follows Donna and Reverend Martin, who along with 22 families from their rural black church in a small East Texas town of Possum Trot, adopted 77 of the most difficult to place kids in the foster system. 77 kids between 22 families. And many of these families already had children of their own. These weren't families with deep pockets. These weren't families that were ready to adopt all these children. I like ready because that's the term that people use to excuse not having their own children or really doing any good works in the world today.
77, man.
And what these people were was faithful. They were faithful and determined to make an actual difference in the lives of some of the most vulnerable children in America. They're heroes, of course, but they're not the kind of heroes you usually see celebrated in movies. They're just regular old heroes, regular people with flaws like any of us who chose to do something about a problem instead of just feeling bad or complaining about it. They're the kind of heroes that we could all be if we just would. That's why their story deserves to be told. That's why we're getting involved in this project, in the hopes of inspiring others to those everyday acts of heroism, everyday acts of faith. I hope that millions of people watch this movie. And Daily Wire intends to do everything in our power to help make that happen. Josh and Rebecca Weigel have created as honest a film as I've ever seen made about people of faith. It's deeply moving, it's utterly unflinching, and it's completely inspiring.
This is a brilliant move by them to team up with Angel Studios. This is actually something that I
not only shares our commitment to creating impactful culture and meaningful entertainment, but excels at doing so. I'm happy to share this quick look at the film with you right now.
Are you sure these people want us?
I know they do.
You can call me Mama.
It's hard to feel like I'm the only one who sees these things. 70% of the kids in the system are there because of neglect. The other 30% are put through hell. We need your help.
Can you imagine our kids on their own? We can't just look away. The state ain't no family.
Are you sure these people want us?
I know they do.
You can call me Mama. Oh, Lord.
If we can't wrap our arms around the most vulnerable, then what do we have? Noise! And the children can't take the noise anymore.
This is something that we must do.
22 families want to adopt. Whole town wants kids now.
That's about right.
What's happening with Possum Trot could mean a huge change for the system.
We want the ones that nobody else wants.
Who hurt you, baby? I'm not giving up on you. You can't give up on me either. What we gonna do? Everybody's falling apart.
I'm doing the best I can.
The real world hits hard.
I don't want to be here. I can't give him back.
We gotta work on this together. We your people now. And love never gives up.
That looks phenomenal.
Sound of Hope will hit theaters over the July 4th weekend. It'll be on Daily Wire Plus at some point, but we really need its theatrical release to be huge. We need people to be inspired by this story. We need more people to find hope in these dark times, to step up and do the impossible. So please buy tickets. Please take friends. Tell other people to buy tickets. We want to be the biggest advocates for this film of anyone in the country, because this is a film worth supporting in the great spirit of all of the Angel Studios movies that we've all come to love over these last several years. For Daily Wire Plus, this will be our first time to make a foray into actual movie theaters, but it won't be our last. We hope to talk more about some other opportunities coming up in that regard in a future town hall this year. It's essential that conservatives and Christians have a voice in theaters for the exact same reason that it's important that we launch companies like Jeremy's Razors or Mayflower Cigars. We have to exist in the world beyond the ever-shrinking digital ghettos that the left is trying to force us into. We have to be present in all of the places where people live their lives. We have to challenge the forces of despair and nihilism and leftism that are eroding our culture and robbing us of our joy. I've said before that God called us to hope even before sin entered the world. Be fruitful and multiply is, above all else, a call to optimism. You have to believe in the future to have children. You have to believe in the future to build businesses. You have to believe in the future to win elections and to take risks and to show moral courage, which is the most rare and urgently needed of all the virtues. You have to have optimism to adopt vulnerable children out of a foster care system and bring them into your home and love them like they should have been loved all along. It takes optimism to do these things, but not a Pollyanna optimism, not a putting your fingers in your ears and closing your eyes and refusing to see that the world is a frightening and scary place kind of optimism. No, it takes a kind of optimism that sees past the shadows of the moment and to the light beyond them. It's an optimism based on faith. I hope that the sound of hope can help restore our faith and the faith of everyone who sees it, even in these difficult days. And we at the Daily Wire are going to do everything in our power to make that happen. Let's do it.
Sweet. That is awesome. That is great. That's phenomenal. I can't stress to you guys how significant that is, that they are actually teaming up with Angel Studios, which is a faith-based company, and partnering with them with the theatrical release for this movie. And it seems like other future projects. I mean, this is like one of the smartest moves they could possibly make, teaming up with a giant like Angel Studios, and they produced very good quality film. The Sound of Freedom, phenomenal. I knew people that weren't Christians that went and saw that movie that were moved by it. That is how you change the culture. And this is something that I've been saying for a long time, is that if we're ever going to make a significant impact in the culture, it starts by making film and making television and making alternatives to what we see the left offering. So it's like, I don't have a lot of patience for the people that are just hating the Daily Wire because they support Israel, and ignoring the massive ground that they have made in the culture, ignoring the fact that they are changing culture. They are doing it. A lot of people talk about doing it. They're actually doing it. They're putting their money where their mouth is. Now, I think about Bentkey, man. I don't know if any of you have downloaded the app. Phenomenal app. I mean, just phenomenal what they did there. And because they made that app, my daughter, I can put her in front of the TV and I don't have to worry about what she's watching. I have peace of mind. I don't have to worry about Disney, slipping in something to corrupt her. I know that she has quality entertainment. Now you pair that with Angel Studios, where they have movies of their own, faith-based movies and faith-based shows. They have the Wingfeather Saga, and I think they have Young David. If they bring that, their catalog of movies and TV, and pair that with the Daily Wire, and it's offered through the app, I mean, that's a game changer. That's a game changer. And millions of kids that watch this will be given positive messaging in what they're watching. They'll watch shows and entertainment with competent dads and loving mothers and just messages of faith and hope. And I think that's what we need in our culture. I mean, this Sound of Hope movie looks great too. And then another thing, a movie like that, I mean, that moves people toward adoption, which is what we want to see. Very pro-life, very encouraging message. So I've seen the work that Angel Studios has done. I mean, they did why am I forgetting the name of it? The movie about Abby Johnson. The name is escaping me for some reason, but that was such a phenomenal movie. My mother took my sister and her friend to see that movie. Oh God, it's gonna kill me now. I don't know why I could. I think it's Unplanned. Yeah, it's Unplanned. So my mom took my sister and her friend to see that movie, and they're watching it. And my sister, I think she's like 16 at the time, and her friend, they're watching it and they start weeping. Like that movie impacted them. And I want to believe, it did. If they were on the fence about what abortion is, they weren't after seeing that movie. So it just really encouraging to me to see these two pair up. I would have loved to see them bring on The Chosen. I think that would have been cool, but it seems like Dallas Jenkins and at least from what I understand, Dallas Jenkins and the guys at Angel Studios have kind of parted ways for now. So hopefully they will come back together and they will start building content and making content again. So I do think this is a net positive for conservatism. I think the people hating on Daily Wire just need to shut up. Just shut up. You can criticize their ideas, but don't throw them out entirely. Don't dismiss them entirely. I mean, for Christ's sakes, a lot of the people that are complaining about the Daily Wire use X, which, by the way, is a porn site. Unfortunately, I use it. I don't like it. But Elon Musk has said that their official policy is that they will allow it. And people don't have a problem with that, but then they want to jump all over the Daily Wire. I get that Daily Wire and Candace Owens are at odds. It is what it is. It happens in entertainment. No reason we have to hate both of them. No reason that there has to be this division. We need to come together and need not start a war. And what happened with them is between them. Candace will be fine on her own. They'll be fine on their own. And we need to kind of put the differences aside and work together and change the culture. Because right now we're up against giants that are after our children. And it's something that we need not take lightly. So for me, this is an answered prayer. Daily Wire teaming up with Angel Studio, net positive all the way. And it's something that, one of my dreams, and I'll just be transparent with you guys, is I want to make film and television. That's going to impact people. That's going to help influence the hearts and minds of the people that watch it. That is my dream, my ultimate goal is to do that. I'm working on like a pilot show that I think will be pretty cool. So I got plans, and to see them actually doing some of that is just an encouragement to me as somebody that wants to create quality content. To see that there are avenues outside of Hollywood to make that possible. I think that's awesome. So speaking of building the parallel economy, so yes, support the Daily Wire, but also support Rumble. So if you want to help build the parallel economy, you want to help win, download the Rumble app. Do that. I think that'll be hugely beneficial. And I think we need to continue to use these alternatives instead of YouTube, who, by the way, would censor me, and even X censors me So Rumble is honestly, in my opinion, the freest of all of them. It really is. It's the most free speech platform that I'm using right now because I can say things like tranny and not get banned for it, not have my visibility reduced like on Twitter, unfortunately. That word is one of the words that is reduces your visibility. So I cannot say it, or if I do say it, I have to say, spell it out in a different creative way to get around their stupid algorithm that automatically flags it. So download the Rumble Studio app and Rumble app. Start using it, guys. Try to make that the default. And while you're there, follow me. Follow my channel. Just type Arkham into the search engine, and my channel will come up, and follow me because I need your support because I want to help kick the left in the nuts. That's my goal. I want to beat them because they are evil. They are evil and unhinged. And speaking of evil and unhinged, that brings us to the first story of the day. All right. This is one of those things where you're going to watch it and it's chilling. It's chilling seeing the way that this person acts as she stands accused of stabbing a 3-year-old to death. All right, this is from Tenet Media. Bianca Ellis reacts to the charges laid against her. She's accused of stabbing a 3-year-old.
Code section 2903.11A.
What the hell is she smiling about? You murdered a child. Is that funny to you, demon? Sick.
One and or endangering children in violation of Ohio Revised Code section 2919.22B2. Count 4 alleges that on or about June 3rd, 2024, the defendant did knowingly cause serious physical.
This enrages me. It enrages me that this monster shows zero remorse.
Physical harm to JW on date of birth 10/29/2020. Count 5 alleges that on or about June 3rd, 2024, the defendant did torture or cruelly abuse JW, date of birth 10/29/2020, a child under 18 years of age, and furthermore, the violation resulted in serious physical harm to JW, date of birth 10/29/2020.
God, it makes me want to throw up. There's a longer video of the father reacting. But man, it's sick. Her whole demeanor during this hearing was sick. It made me sick seeing her smile, showing zero remorse. Even if you don't think like you should be charged, or like regardless of whether you're innocent or guilty, you should not be smiling. But she shows no remorse. She doesn't care that she murdered this child. She doesn't care that she took this poor little boy's life. She doesn't care. And because of that, if I were the judge, her sentence, it wouldn't be prison time. It would be a swift execution. A public execution, because that's what that woman deserves. She needs to be made an example of. People need to look and see the monster that she is, and there needs to be a message sent to everybody that watches that you don't harm children. You don't hurt children. If you do, the consequences will be severe. Jesus says that it is better for a millstone to be tied around a person's neck than for anybody to lead them a child astray. How do you think he would feel about somebody that murdered a 3-year-old? You think he's going to be happy about that? Do you think he's going to let that slide? Now, I'm not saying that if she sincerely wanted forgiveness, she could get forgiveness. Yeah, absolutely. And that would be my ultimate hope. But when you're demonstrating an attitude that you are unrepentant and you do not care, well, then the only thing left to do is deliver justice. All right, let's read. Woman who allegedly stabbed 3-year-old to death in shopping cart smirks as murder charges are read. A woman who had reportedly worked in the child care of Ohio Department of Jobs and Family Services allegedly stabbed who worked in family services, a 3-year-old boy to death 4 days after she had a warrant out for her arrest for a theft conviction. Was arrested and then released. When the murder charge was read in court, she smirked and giggled. Bianca Ellis, 32, is reported to have stolen knives from a thrift store, then allegedly followed 3-year-old Julian Wood and his mother Margot out of the store before stabbing the child to death and also stabbing his mother when she tried to save her son and pull him from the shopping cart. When Judge Nancy Margaret in Cheoga Court of Common Pleas announced that Ellis was charged with murder, aggravated murder, attempted murder, felonious assault, endangering children, tampering with evidence, and a misdemeanor theft, she smirked and giggled. Jared Wood came into court and apparently saw his son's alleged murder. In a heartbreaking response to the judge asking his name, he told the judge, "My name is Jared Wood, father of the deceased husband of Margot. Your Honor, that day 1 week ago, she took everything from us. There's nothing that could ever replace my son or anything that my wife and I and our other kids are going through. It's horrendous. I really wish no bail, period, or extend it to the max limit possible that you can at the very least. Just do whatever you can to keep this monster behind bars." I think that's too light. So Ellis bond was set at $5 million. Good. Obviously, she'll never be able to afford that. Hold on, battery is dying. Okay, I think we're good. Ooh, that was close. All right, and then they have a GoFundMe page set up by Julian Wood's aunt, and it states the funds raised will help cover funeral expenses, legal fees, and support for the family, allowing us to focus on healing and remembering their son, Juju. Your kindness has not alleviated some of the financial burdens. Not only alleviated some of the financial burdens. Anyway, yeah, this woman is a monster, and I think her going to prison is her getting off easy. I don't actually think that's justice. I think her removing her from existence is the only just move at this point. How could you allow somebody like that to go on living? Like, at some point, we got to get over this sentiment of being squeamish over the death sentence, because it hurts our tummies, and grow some resolve. All right. Yes, it's an ugly thing. Yes, somebody's life is being taken, but sometimes that's just. Sometimes that's the right play, and in this case, that's 100% the right play. I think because we don't do this anymore, because it's rare, because we put it off, monsters like this are emboldened to do horrific crimes. No, the fear of God needs to be instilled in their hearts. A message needs to be sent to anybody who thinks about harming a child that it will cost you your life. And I guarantee you, it's not going to stop everybody, but I guarantee you will see crimes plummet. A good government sends the message to evil people that there is a fearful expectation of judgment if you violate the law. This is biblical too, by the way. I want to read a tweet from Joshua Hames because he's somebody that changed his mind, and I want to kind of just read out the process that he went to, or what he shared about how he changed his mind. I hope you guys can read that. All right. As a Christian, I used to oppose the death penalty. I was wrong. All Christians must, in principle, be pro-death penalty, and I would argue we should also be pro-public execution. I used to read Jesus' commands given for interpersonal affairs, such as the command to love and forgive our enemies, as somehow negating the civil magistrate God's God-given responsibility to bear the sword against evildoers. Yeah, you can forgive your enemy and still want justice. The two are not mutually exclusive. You can have both. See, think about the thief on the cross, all right? So he committed crimes, and he was sentenced to death for them. And because he was genuinely repentant, he was able to receive salvation. But you want to know what Jesus didn't do? Jesus had the power to take him down from the cross. No, Jesus let him pay for his crime. Jesus allowed it to happen. He didn't stop it. Because that is justice. And a truly repentant person would own the death penalty. If they are truly sorry for what they have done, if they show remorse, they would say, I deserve this. What I did was horrific. I deserve death. I'm never going to be able to bring that child back. That's what a genuinely repentant person would want. And some people make the argument, well, like if we put them in jail, God has more time to save them and save their souls, and we can preach the gospel to them. You think God can't work in any given time constraint? God can change a heart like that if he wants to, and if a person's willing. God is outside of time and space. So no, let's institute the death penalty for horrific crimes and spare the innocent. Because when we let monsters like this go, like they do in New York City, by the way, innocent people suffer. Innocent people are vulnerable. Innocent people die at the hands of these monsters because we're too soft on crime. Enough. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of the fake virtue and the moral grandstanding. You're not more moral because you let criminals out on the street to reap havoc. You're not more moral because you're soft on crime. No. Because it costs other people, innocent people, their lives. All right, this was a failure to interpret Scripture with Scripture. This also highlights the need for systematic theology, which is basically just a belief that God does not, in fact, contradict himself. He doesn't. The Bible affirms the death penalty in both the Old and New Testament. And using the general equity principle when considering the Mosaic Law, we can deduce that, in principle, public executions as established in Old Testament law is a positive good for society. Also, we can use simple logic. If you swiftly and publicly execute rapists and child abusers, you will severely reduce rape and child abuse. It's really quite that simple. And it is. It is that simple. It's the public execution serves as a deterrent for future crimes. People say, no, deterrents don't work. Shut up. They work. All right. They absolutely work. I know deterrents work. I've seen deterrents work. You weren't used to stuff. I'm going to admit to a petty crime. I would not trespass on like I do like urban exploring and stuff like that. I would not trespass in areas that had fences and had security cameras because I was not retarded. I didn't want to do that. But I was deterred to do the crime because there were basic deterrents set up. I work in cybersecurity. We have deterrents set up to keep criminals from doing certain things and engaging in illicit activity. We have walls, and we want to build a wall at the border to deter people from coming here. Is it going to stop everybody? No, but it'll stop a lot. In fact, I think if we actually believed in enforcing law and upholding the law of the land, and we set up deterrents at the border, more of them, we would dramatically cut down on illegal immigration. So when you don't punish crime, though, the opposite happens. Crime increases. Criminals are emboldened. And that's why we have floods of illegals coming in. That's why we have crime reaping havoc on the streets of New York and LA. That's why you have these people going looting all these stores, because they're not afraid. They have no fear. They are emboldened to do crime because they know they'll get a slap on the wrist. They don't have the fearful expectation that they'll be judged for. Hell, they don't even go to jail. They don't even go to jail. That's like forget the death penalty. Nobody even goes to jail right now. It's crazy town. No, there needs to be severe consequences for crime. That's the Bible. That's justice. So yeah, it's one of those things that really just grinds my gears, gets me really frustrated. So another thing, while we're on this topic, I recently listened to a podcast called the Mr. Ballin Podcast. Really good podcast, by the way. I highly encourage you guys to check it out. He does covers strange, dark, and mysterious topics, and he some of them are about ghosts, and some of them are about murders, and some of them are about medical mysteries. And I was listening to one of these medical mysteries, and I thought, after listening to the episode, I was horrified at what I had heard. So I'm just gonna kind of give you a summary of it. If you want to go listen to the full episode, go check it out. It's awesome. By the way, spoilers. It's gonna get spoiled. So if you don't want spoilers, if you watch that podcast, probably don't listen any longer. But anyway, there's this story about this couple, and there's this cop, and he gets married to another cop, and after they get married and they're living together, they're doing their life. She gets pregnant, and after she gets pregnant and has the baby, she decides to stop working full time as a police officer, and she starts working part-time, I think, at a halfway house and focusing on being a mother. Well, while she's caring for her kid, she notices that her baby, because this is basically a newborn baby, is in distress, and they're maybe not newborn. I forget exactly how old, but she notices that the baby is distressed and is crying. So she ultimately ends up taking the baby to the hospital, her and her husband. The doctor looks at it. He has this grim expression on his face when he is going over these results of this x-ray that they performed, and he points out that this baby has fractures on their legs, and he asks them how this happened, and the parents are claiming that they had no idea, and he thinks, obviously, he's assuming the worst. He's assuming that they abused the baby, and they both swear up and down that they never did anything to their baby. Well, he had already called CPS, and they take these parents' kids. At this point, a little justifiable. I could understand taking if you suspect abuse. I get it. I don't necessarily agree with it, because I still do believe in this crazy thing called due process. And I don't think the government, the state, should just take our kids because a doctor said so or anybody said so. I think there needs to be an investigation first and actual charges brought against somebody before they could do that. But none of that happened. CPS just took the kid, and now they're getting interviewed by social workers and an investigator, and now they're starting to suspect that the husband abused this kid, and both the husband and the wife, they're going crazy trying to figure out what exactly happened. How did this baby get hurt? And the wife looks up brittle bone disease, and she starts to think, maybe that's what's wrong with my baby. Maybe my baby has brittle bone disease. Now, mind you, they're separated, and mind you, now the husband is he's being the primary one looked at as abusing this child because they had shared that he like played holding the kid upside down. Say what you want, you know, you don't have to agree with it, but he said he never harmed her. They were playing. He was playing with his kid. So I imagine probably this baby had to be a little bit older. So he has these charges slapped against him. He's a police officer, so now he's facing the prospect of prison time. He's a cop, so he knows what happens to cops when they go to prison. And he's thinking like, oh, like this is going to ruin my life. And they finally have their court hearing. The wife petitions the judge to do some tests on her baby so that they could see if maybe there's something else going on. The judge agrees. And this seems like a win. This seems like, oh, great. You know, they'll be able to test the baby and, you know, hopefully they'll be able to clear their name. And I was really optimistic at this point going into this story. I'm like, oh, cool. You know, they're going to find out that there's something medically wrong with this baby. Now, this is where things get really messed up. All right. CPS, instead of honoring the judge's rulings, because he did agree and say that that they can get the baby tested, instead of doing that, they pushed the appointment out as far as possible, 3 months out. And now the husband's stewing. The husband's wondering what's going to happen. He's facing the prospects of going to prison. The wife talked to a lawyer, and he recommended actually the wife divorcing her husband because that would be the only way of getting the kids. Now, flash forward, and the foster care worker ends up having this same issue with the kid. And they have to be taken to the kid has to be taken to the hospital, and then they run the test, and once you know it, the baby did have a medical condition. It was some sort. Let me just look up the name of this condition quick. I don't want to mess it up. It wasn't brittle bone disease. It was something else, but it was still pretty horrific. All right, so the baby ended up having spinal muscular atrophy, which basically, unfortunately for babies, is essentially a death sentence. They don't recover from this. So now the husband and the wife are completely vindicated. Their names are essentially can be cleared, but in the span of this happening, the grandparents are trying to reach them. They can't reach them. And the grandparents end up going to the house and discovering that, I don't know. They didn't really go into a lot of the details about it, but it seemed like a murder-suicide. So the husband ended up killing his wife and then taking his own life. Now, I want to preface what I'm going to say next by saying that I do not at all condone what the husband did. Horrific, evil monster. There is no circumstance that should lead to you murdering your wife, no matter how bad it is, and taking your own life. That's horrible. However, I can't help but think how things would have turned out if the state did not get involved and people did their due diligence. You know, and the state tested this baby the moment the mother, the judge mandated that they do it. And they didn't do that. So maybe even if this was a death sentence for the baby, maybe they could have done something temporarily to give that baby a little bit of relief. But no, the CPS workers were vindictive. They wanted to be right more than they cared about that little baby, more than they cared about reuniting that mom with her child. And it resulted in tragedy. And this is one of those situations that it just makes me painfully aware of how much power the state has. That they could take your kid under false pretenses, and there's nothing that you can do about it. You don't get due process. They can just steal your child from you. And it was such a, it's one of those stories too that unfortunately, guys, there's no happy ending right now. My hope is that the grandparents, whatever, sue everybody involved, but it's just all around a tragedy. But for me, it's a reminder of the power of the state. Hold on one second. All right. So fatherly duties call. So, but I do think this is a tragic story overall, and my heart breaks for these the grandparents and this poor baby who did ultimately die, and it just makes me think of how broken our system is overall, and how there is often a miscarriage of justice, and how we ultimately, and I always go back to this, we need to return to God's law. Because this is what happens to a nation when they depart from it. I see Taylor in the chat, man. Hey, man. Hope you're doing well, dude. I'm buying your coffee tomorrow using your promo code. Your link in your description. So I'm excited about that. I didn't put the links in this stream, but yeah, I saw something where it counts collective streams across. So I didn't think I was hitting the actual quota for it, but I'm seeing like my stream on Twitter, and if it counts my Twitter stream, then I'm probably eligible for these ads. So I just got to remember to do it next time. But anyway, I know that's a bummer of a story. I kind of don't want to end on that one. Let's see if I have any good news here on the docket. No, I don't. The state sucks. The state sucks, and my encouragement is to be as invested as possible in your kids' lives and be above reproach. So that way, if you are ever investigated for whatever reason, false pretenses, and just don't underestimate them. Also, homeschool. Because there are certain places too that will take away your kid because of your political views. That's scary. So you can skip that by homeschooling them, and you don't have to worry about them being indoctrinated by crazy woke propaganda in the public school system. So I think that's a couple things that you could do that will equip you for handling any potential challenges when it comes to the state. I do also want to say too that I'm not completely against CPS, because I have seen them do some good work. There are people that I love dearly. They wouldn't have their kids if CPS wasn't involved. But I do think the system as a whole needs massive reform. I would actually rather like churches be involved in this than the state. I would trust churches more than I trust the state to handle this. I think that would be a win. Anyway, that is all I have for today. I might come back and stream in a little bit. Depends on how much I get done. Do some gaming. But if not, I will see you guys tomorrow promptly at 8 o'clock. If you like this, please like, subscribe, comment, support the work that I'm doing. I want to continue to grow and continue to comment on stories that I find interesting. And if you have any suggestions, send them my way, because I'd love to hear from you guys. Anyway, have a blessed night. Deuces.